Part 2. So I'm thinking I actually want to add maybe a couple little clouds in here. So I'm going to take that milky white and we'll take a little bit that light pink, and we still have a little bit of yellow on our palette, so we'll save that. And I'm gonna take my 3/4 oval mop brush and get it a little wet. Squish out the water. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up some of that milky white, tiny bit of that pink. Just dab it on your palette so they blend a little bit together. Not fully. You still want the pink and white separate. Okay, kind of like that. See how there's some pink and white on the brush, not fully mixed. So what I'm going to do, let's see here. I'm going to bring it right about here. We're going to do a bigger cloud right up in our, above our pink in the sky, kind of through the green and over the blue. Let me get the side. I'm going to get some more that white on my brush. Kind of fill in this space. Okay. I'm going to get some more of that color. Put a little bit over here. Kind of like that. Maybe we'll do a little bit here, a little bit there. Kind of feel free to do the clouds kind of however you want. I'm going to get the edge here. Some of your paint may still be wet if you didn't let it fully dry, which I didn't since I decided to put in some clouds. And I kind of want a little bit of that blue to come through on my clouds, just to give it a little bit more depth. So we'll just rinse off our brush, dry it off, just blend that in, just tap it around. See how that blue and that pink come together and make this purpley color? Kind of fill in the places that need to be fuller. So middle of the cloud, a little bit of the outskirts, but not all of it. A little bit out here. I'm going to pick up some more of that color. Just add a little bit more texture in here. A little bit more. Okay. Might add a little bit more of that milky white over here, because I think there's a little too much blue. Rinse off our brush. Dry off our brush. Pick up some of that white. We'll just kind of fill this space back in. Give us some nice fluffy clouds. There we go. Okay. Then you can take a feather brush, any feather brush. I'm just using a smaller one. Get it wet, dry it off, And we're going to take some of our creamy white and a little bit of our yellow, kind of blend those together a little bit. You should get a pastel-y looking yellow. And you'll just kind of tap in here a little bit. Up in the orange. You can even pick up some of that orange paint that we had in here and kind of give a little bit of color to the lower side. There we go. I'm not going to rinse off my brush. I'm going to collect a little bit of that pink. Kind of blend that in together. You should get a yellowy pink. Then I'm going to come down into the yellow and then just add a couple more of those little taps. Rinse off your paintbrush. Fully rinse it. No paint left on this brush. Go ahead and dry it. And then we're just going to brush this across to smooth out those lines a little bit. Just like that. I'm going to take a little pink and kind of touch up in here. I kind of want this a little bit pinker. So I'm just going to dap in here, wipe off the excess paint and kind of smooth that out a little bit. Smooth it out. There we go. I like my sky a little pinker. Okay, so there we have our sky. And now we can start with our field. So let's get our field colors. It is autumn, so we want a medium colored green, medium to not quite dark, not quite light. Medium's their color. So we're gonna get, let's see here, but we don't want bright. So we'll mix a couple of these colors together. So we have an olive green, real dark bluish green, chrome green, and light green, medium green. So I'm going to put all of these on our palette and then we'll start mixing. Okay, let's make sure we're nice and dry down here. Not quite. So we're going to let that dry a little longer. And once the sky is completely dry, we'll come back and finish. Since I've already put paint on my palette, I'm going to take a hairdryer and blow dry it. And then we can go. I'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to paint our grass. So I'm going to take my 1-inch flat brush and we're going to get it damp, dry it off, and we're going to start with the underneath to the front. So base, front. Since our sun is setting, our lightest part of the day is going to be up here. It's already dark back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our technically this green is called chrome oxide green. but it's kind of a pale muted medium green. So if you have a green similar to this, get about this much on your brush, and we're going to go vertical. So we're gonna start kind of like right here, right at the end of the yellow. You can see that, and then pull down. You're gonna start and pull down. And we're just gonna do this all the way across. I'm gonna make sure I get my side here because I do not frame my paintings, most of them anyway. So I want to make sure my edge looks nice and clean. So the scene just falls over the edge. Okay, we're gonna just do that. You might need to get some more paintbrush on there. You might need to get some more paint on your paintbrush. And we're just gonna pull down and try and keep it in a straight line. And the reason we do it that way with the paintbrush is so it gives a little extra texture and detail. That's a lot easier than trying to manually hand paint those in. You just let the brush do all the work. Or most of the work, that is. Okay, make sure you have no white coming through. And I'm going to do it again a little bit further down because I want this to come down a little bit more. We'll use the rest of that paint that's on the palette. Alright. Now, we'll take some of this darker green. And we're not going to wash off our paintbrush. We're going to let these colors kind of blend, and we're going to kind of come in the middle and then go out. And then we can kind of smooth it back in all the way across. Come back the other way. See how we're kind of blending the colors a little bit into each other? Okay. Now we're going to kind of blend those even more. So just kind of go right through the middle here. Blend those down just a little bit. Just go at the top and pull down. So you just top, pull, and all the way across. See how that just kind of gives a little bit more texture and blends those colors in a little bit more? We're gonna kind of give this a little bit more layer and color here, because this is a field that's going to get covered. So we're going to mix our lighter green, that darker green, and a tiny bit of this green. This gives us a little bit more blue in our green. And we're just going to kind of go a little bit under that line and paint everything underneath this color. So let's collect some more of those colors. Blend that in. It doesn't have to be perfectly blended, because if you have shades of other colors in there, it'll give some more texture. This doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go over again with another layer. So we're just kind of filling out the green here, giving it a little bit more color. And the further down you get, make it a little bit darker. Add more and more of this color, this base color here. Take it all the way down. Alright, and I'm not adding that lighter green anymore, it's just this bluish green and the pale green. Okay, very good. All right. Now we're going to take our paintbrush, very little paint on it, and we're going to come up at that top and just kind of pull that color in a little bit. Whoops. We'll do a little bit of this since I kind of went up a little bit. I'm going to push that paint up a little. Give it some depth and texture. Add a little bit more color in there. Okay, we're going to cover that up with a lighter color. So let's go ahead and just start adding some layer in here. Pretty much just adding texture and pulling some of the paint down. Okay. Very good. I'm not going to rinse off my paintbrush. I'm going to grab this lightest color green we have here, kind of blend it with the paint that's on my paintbrush, just a little bit. We're going to make the lightest color we're going to have, the lightest green we're going to have. Just a bit. And we're going to come back up to the very top and just highlight the tips of the grass that's up here. Okay, and if it's not highlighted enough for you, you can get the excess paint off your paintbrush, get a little bit more of that lighter color, and then just kind of throw it in there a little bit. Lighten it up in the background. You can add a tiny little bit just under that for some texture from the grass. So you have some shadow, you have some light, a little bit of depth up there. And then don't forget your sides. Okay. Now we're going to go to our next darkest color. And we're going to do just slightly under that too. Remember, it's far away, so they're very, very slim separation here. Just kind of dab that in there, add a little bit darker around the light, making some shadows and some depth. Okay, move on to your next darker color. And if you have to rinse out some of that lighter color, go ahead. I'm just going to wipe off the excess paint. and then collect this next color. And then I'm going to go just barely under that last line and then kind of dap it up. So it kind of gives a little bit shadow underneath. Last color in the green. This green with a little bit of blue pigment in it. Gonna just go right under that next one. Okay. I'm going to kind of pull that a little bit more through here. We don't need a lot of shape in the grass in front of us because it's going to be mostly covered by pumpkins. Up here is our grassy field where our tree and cabin's going to be. Down here we're going to have pumpkins. So it doesn't need a lot of detail because we're going to cover most of it, and there's no point in painting it if we're going to cover it. So that looks good. I'm going to get this edge actually a little bit more. Let me dry off my paintbrush since I threw it in there, and I'm going to take just this dark color. Okay, that way when it stands up, it looks good. Alright, so we're going to let that dry so we can paint over it. We're going to do our cabin and our tree next, and then we'll do the pumpkins right after. So we're going to let this sit, and we'll be right back.